I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, 5 and a horse, I'm ready for war, I'm coming for throats, to turn to a ghost, I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk.
What is going on? It's draft day, Johnny Manziel. We're ready to get in here, Trevor. How we doing tonight?
I am pumped, my man. This is draft number 4, I think, in as many, I guess 5 days. So it's going to be. I'm feeling sharp at this point. I'm feeling sharp.
Yeah, I'm actually on the same pace as you. This is my 4th draft since Saturday. Had the family league Saturday. Ended up with a solid squad led by Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Chris Olave, and Tony Pollard. Got the high school league going with my keeper league. Garrett Wilson was the keeper there. Ended up, I think I snagged AJ Brown in that league too, because the guy right before me took CeeDee Lamb. And then got the 14-man work league going on Monday. So that draft ended up pretty solid too. How about you?
Yeah, we were actually texting on Monday night, right? We both were in 14-man league drafts that night. I feel okay about that draft. I ended up definitely going quarterback. I went Lamar Jackson in the 4th round, which I didn't feel bad about because it's 6-point touchdown passing in that league. That kind of gives me a little bit more
cushion.
Plus, when you get to 14 teams, man, I mean, last year in that league, I just streamed quarterbacks until I found Justin Fields for the end of the season. So it goes well, but it definitely can dry up a little quick in 14-teamers. So that was a lot of fun. Family draft Saturday night with my son got the 101 in that one. My sister, brother-in-law, brother. It's a good time. And then live draft hosted at my own house Sunday. That was a lot of fun. And we invited my 8-year-old to play in that one as well. And he pulled the 101 as well. So 2 drafts in a row, Patrick Mahomes taken at 101.
What's the secret? What's the family secret to pulling the 101?
I don't know because I'm not doing it. I need to find out. It was funny though. Quick story: the live draft. We use 100yarddash.com or 100yardrush.com.
Okay,
it's a hilarious randomizer that you literally looks like a bunch of little football players running a 100-yard dash. You never need to figure out a fun way to do your draft order. Go look that up. But what we do is we pick our draft spots per the ending. And so I finished 3rd. He finished 4th. And so I asked him before I picked mine. I said, "What number are you gonna pick?" He said, "I'm taking 1." So I'm like, "I'm taking 3," because I knew he was gonna take Mahomes. So I automatically had Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson in my hands. So I'm like, "All right, I'll take 3." So I had a little insider information that nobody else had at the live draft that night.
You're able to kind of scope it out, plan it out, get your sources.
That's right.
Telling you a little bit of information.
And I don't tell him how to pick, man. Don't get me wrong. I have to make sure he doesn't take Deuce Vaughn in the 2nd round. But
right.
By the time round 12 came around, I'm like, look, if you want to take Deuce Vaughn, go ahead, man. Go right.
You just got to watch out for the something I fell victim to is I always just wanted a bunch of Chiefs players on my team. Like the early fantasy teams, I was like, man, when can I grab one of these Chiefs guys coming on through? There wasn't many to take back then. It was like you could take a Tony Gonzalez, you could take Priest Holmes, or maybe you could land the defense, which you didn't want, or their kicker. So it was like, we'll see.
Yeah, he definitely has plenty of Chiefs players. He's got Pacheco in both teams. He loves Isaiah Pacheco. Obviously doesn't get Travis Kelce. I think he got Rashee Rice in one of them. He really likes him. He's not a big fan of Tony or Moore, or he straight up, he doesn't want to draft them. But Rashee Rice, he's like, all right, I'll take this guy.
There's too much value. Too much value in Rice.
Do you just know like his name, like the number 4? Because it is a sick number.
It is pretty solid. It's a good receiver number.
Yeah, we'll be drafting tonight. It'll be a lot of fun. I don't anticipate Patty Mahomes going 101, but Nate, who has the 101 already in the chat, hot and heavy, Justin Tucker saying he's going 101. We'll see.
Don't ruin my draft, Nate.
We will see about
Don't
that.
ruin my draft.
And we'll get to the board here before too long, but if he goes Justin Tucker, then you have to make the decision. At least that's the way I look at it from the 2 spot.
Honestly, from the 2 spot, I'm feeling pretty good because I know I'm going to get one of the 2 guys that I really want, and I haven't been able to get in any of my other drafts. Yep. I think I've picked I picked 5, 6, 8, 8 in the 4 drafts I've done so far. Yeah. So I'm ready for a top 3 pick. Especially being in the top 2 makes me pretty happy.
Well, when you had that 5th pick, did you take Deuce Vaughn at 5? I mean,
that's a spicy pick. That's a spicy pick.
Let's before we get into it, let's talk a little bit of news here, because there's some significant news out there.
Yeah, really, we'll just highlight this one piece, and it's all about Jonathan Taylor. I feel like the motive of the summer has been just running back nonstop. That's been flooding the news. Jonathan Taylor is going to start the season on the PUP list. First of all, so he's going to miss 4 games before he can even see the field. That's a guarantee. The next thing is that he's demanded a trade, and there's so many rumors about who has reached out to the Colts. The 2 prime suspects up to this point are the Dolphins and the Green Bay Packers, shockingly, are the 2 teams. 2 teams I feel like that's the last position that the Packers need is running back with Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. But I guess part of the offer was AJ Dillon and a pick for Taylor, and they came back and just gave this ridiculous counter. From what I saw, now this is just like what I saw, was that they were asking for Christian Watson and AJ Dillon and a pick, and it's just like, who does Ballard think he is out there in Indy screwing with these guys?
It'll be interesting to see. I was listening to a podcast. The footballers were saying that if he stays on the PUP for 6 weeks, then he already fulfills his contract, because since he's on the PUP list, he's not holding out. Because he can't
so that
play
counts as a season being accrued for him?
That would count as a season being accrued.
Wow.
So if you're not playing, obviously, if you hold out, then your season doesn't necessarily count towards that season that you have to accrue. So yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure how it's all going to go down, but how are you handling it? We're about to get into a draft. Like, how are you handling Jonathan Taylor right now?
I am handling it like a bubonic plague.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm staying away.
I don't care where it goes. He can go to the 18th round, and I just have no.
I won't be the guy that takes the flyer, and I think I talked about this during our running back episode. Is I'm still scarred from Le'Veon Bell's holdout in 2018. I have not recovered. PTSD. Can't do it. Won't do it. Now that Jacob signed his contract, which is, I guess, some other running back news, he's reported that whole deal. I just can't bring myself to do it. Running back is not that important of a position to me from a fantasy perspective. I feel like you can plug in like any other guy, and if I'm going to spend a premium pick on a running back, it's not going to be Jonathan Taylor anyway. It would have been maybe 3 or 4 other guys before I even got to JT. So yeah, I mean, just all those things is just a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. Now, if he slips to you in the 4th round, you feel like you've got a solid plan, then by all means go for it. But he's missing 4 games with no guarantee that he comes back to play the other 13.
Yeah, and that's what is the worst. Like, if this is just a guy that's starting the season on the PUP list, you're like, like an Alvin Kamara, he's starting the season with three
a little 3-game suspension.
But you know what you're getting out of him once he gets back. You just don't know where this is going to go right now.
Right.
And yeah, I look, if he gets traded and in week 17, I face off against the guy who's got Jonathan Taylor for the championship, and JT goes off and I lose, I'm just like, tip my cap. Congratulations to you, man. I'll try again next year, because I don't want to deal with the hassle all season long and the stress.
If anyone takes him and it turns out to be, a genius move, like you deserved it at the end of the day. You deserved to have that sort of success and be able to wear that championship title. And really, you should be proud if it ends up panning out. The thing is, it's just not going to be me.
No, not at all. We'll catch up with the chat here. All rookies for me, never drafted in all 25 at the 8th spot. So I think he's saying 25 drafts. He's not had the 8th spot yet. Lee, it is redraft, so we are just focused on this season. Just a reminder here. It is not a dynasty league. Juggling 2 drafts at once is going to be fun. Okay, because Nate's currently in a draft. He said Jonathan Taylor went 52nd overall in a 10-team draft that he's currently in. So, yeah, that will be a little bit of fun for you.
That's not bad. I feel like that's really good value for whoever picked them up, but you just really got to be banking on that return. That's the problem.
And, honestly, for me, we all know that I'm not really taking running backs early. And so if I snagged, what'd you say? It was the top of the 6th, right? So if I'm snagging, that's the back end of the first. So if I'm a guy who wants to take running backs and I've got a Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley start, say, I don't know, just throwing a couple names out. All right, maybe I throw JT out there in the 6th round because at that point, I don't really care. He's on the PUP list, so that means I can put him on my IR as soon as I start the season. So I'll throw him on my IR slot, see what happens from there. But that's not the way I draft, and there's no way. Like, the 6th round, if I'm taking a running back, that's my 1st or 2nd running back.
Yeah.
And I can't spend that kind of draft capital on a guy like Jonathan Taylor.
Exactly. It just doesn't make sense for my philosophy personally. Well, we're about 3 minutes to draft time, my friend. Should we get that board pulled up?
Yeah, let me get it up here. We already mentioned Nate here in the chat with us. He is drafting out of the 101 spot. Let me see if this one's a little better. I guess that makes me hide it, doesn't it? Oh, we can see it okay. Can you see it all right?
Yeah, I got a good view of it. That's perfect.
Nate's drafted out of the 101 spot from Bite Size Sports. So we appreciate him joining our league this year. You can find Nate on Facebook at Nate Andrews, but also come over to Bite Size Sports. He does a lot of great racing content for us, does some Instagram stuff for us. He's all over all of our shows, just comes on, jumps in and out. He's a Bears fan, so we won't try to hold that against him. Hopefully his boy Justin Fields does great this year. But, yeah, Nate in the 101 should be a lot of fun. And then you get the 2, man.
Got your boy at spot 2. Whatever kicker Nate doesn't take, that's who I'm taking at the 102. At pick 3, good friend of mine, Reed Hughes. We worked together back in the Worlds of Fun days of high school. So good to have Reed in the league. His buddy Ryan drafting at the 112 spot. So really appreciate you guys joining the league and coming in here. Really, I played in a fantasy league with both of these guys last year, actually. And I'm pretty, if I recall correctly, Reed put together a pretty good team. I think he had he had taken Jamar Chase. Reed, if you're in here, feel free to chime in. But yeah. And then Trevor, you're at the 104 spot, my friend. That's not a bad pick either.
I got the 104. I know what I'm going to do at the 104 already. It will definitely be different than what most people would do at the 104. But we talk about that all the time. So nobody here is going to be surprised if they follow along the show. My buddy Tyler, new dad for the 2nd time.
Congratulations.
So he's going to be juggling, feeding the baby, cleaning some poop, drafting, chatting, he's all over it. So, and he's here a lot on Wednesday nights with us in the chat, supporting the show. So happy to see him in here. Herbie from the Lou here, good friend of mine out of St. Louis. So good to see him joining here. I know he's more of an audio listener, but happy to have him here. He's always trying to get our advice over the course of the preseason and during the season. He's joined the Discord already, so he got some of that fantasy goodness from my rankings last week. So happy to have him in here. And then before I'll skip real fast to Lee, who's always in our chat, probably number one fan of Another Damn Fantasy Podcast.
Appreciate you, Lee.
108. I'll let you finish it off here and give everybody a shout out, then I'll hit the start button.
Yes, sir. So Nick with the pick, that's my little brother Nicholas, who is joining from Florida. He's in the Army, so he's stationed down near Destin, Florida, joining us virtually for the draft at
Hopefully
the
it's not getting
109.
too hairy down there.
Yeah, is there storms brewing down there? Or
I think it's moved through it at this point, but
he hasn't mentioned anything to me, so hopefully everything's going well for him. He seems to be. He has Wi-Fi at least.
He is in the draft. So.
Yeah, he has Wi-Fi at least, so that's a good sign. At the 109, a good friend of mine, Chris Broy. Appreciate you joining the draft. He is a Titans fan, so do not hold that against him. If you see him reaching for D-Hop or Treylon Burks, appreciate you coming into the draft. I know we got Kev out here. Kev, big part of the Bite Size family. Appreciate you joining the draft, of course. Yeah, the top dog coming in here. Awesome having you in the draft. Really excited to see. Don't listen too closely, all right, Kev? You put out a little teaser on Twitter. He's going to start stealing some draft ideas from Trevor and I. I didn't like the kid that looked over my shoulder at the test. You know what I mean? And then my other little brother, Darren, has joined the draft as well at the 111 spot. Him and I, him, and Nicholas, we actually are all in that family league, of course. All of us started playing when we were like 10 years old. So it's really going to be fun to get another draft with these two. Always fun to see how they build their teams out and what that looks like. So I'm excited, man. And we got a lot of good people in this draft. A lot of experience, it seems like.
The one thing I'd say, though, real fast is Broy Dog and Kevin the Dude, Colts fan, Titans fan, back-to-back.
Oh.
So we'll have a lot of AFC action in the back end. And, of course, hey, look, Kev's at the other end of the draft than you and I, so he can try to cheat on the test all he wants. We'll just pass him on some false answers, right?
Yeah, let's
I'm going to go ahead and hit start. Looks like everybody's here. And I'm ready. Let the drafting commence.
It is time. Oh, I'm so pumped.
Yeah, me as well. I think, as we go through this, obviously we want to talk about our picks. We want to give our
shocker
analysis there as Nate takes Justin Jefferson 101 and Dan follows up with the 102 at Jamar Chase. We also don't want to give away too much information because obviously most of these guys are watching the stream with us. So
yes, sir.
Don't want to give you guys too much information. Obviously, we're happy you're here, but we don't want to give out too much. So Dan, I'm going to make my pick if you want to just tell us why you took Jamar Chase.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's pretty straightforward for me. I go wide receivers in the first round typically, unless I'm at the back end on that turn. Jamar Chase has been a top receiver since he entered the league in 2021. Him and Joe Burrow have this like psychic connection with one another. So I had to take him.
Yeah,
and you took Tyreek. The 4, 5, and 6 spots are super interesting to me because it all depends on what receivers get taken early on, what running backs get taken. So I guess run through yours real quick.
Yeah, so I'm pretty well full Tyreek here. Every draft that we're in, it's pretty well going Jefferson, Chase, McCaffrey. That's very normal right now. And I'm full Tyreek. I started out having Kupp over Tyreek, but with the Kupp injury a little, I would take either one. But Kupp's injury kept him out a little bit. I love this Dolphins offense. And, last year, before Tua goes down, Tyreek just absolutely blazing all over the field. And the dude's still one of the best wide receivers in the game. I think this offense is going to explode, especially if Tua stays healthy all year. So that's where I'm at. I'm not taking the running backs at this spot, anyways.
Right.
The first running back I'll take is if McCaffrey is sitting there at 5 after Kupp and Hill have already gone, but I've got McCaffrey at 5 on my rankings.
Yeah. No, I'm totally in agreement with that. I had the 5th pick in the 14-man league I was in on Monday, and I was sweating as the 4th person was picking because I was like, please let me get Tyreek Hill. Because it was Hill or Kupp is kind of where I was at, and I took Kupp at another draft. So Tyreek Hill at the 4 makes plenty of sense to me. So as you guys can see up here, Travis Kelce still going in the first round. Bijan Robinson to Nicholas. That's honestly a surprise to me. He's typically a wide receiver first guy as well. So I wonder if he's just testing the waters on a new strategy.
Yeah, tried out a little bit there. Austin Eckler went 5th right after I went. Barkley at 8, Chubb at 9. We were going to kind of talk about some surprises we had from this weekend. For me, Nick Chubb. I got Nick Chubb in my live draft in the back end of round 2, and I nearly took him in round 2 of my 14-teamer because he was still sitting there again. Just a guy that in my home leagues has been falling. Did you see the same thing, or did you see more normal, which we get tonight, and Nick Chubb at 109?
I think it's kind of similar to how you just spelled it out. Nick Chubb went in round 2, I think, in my family league. And then I can pull up the results for the league I was in this weekend. I want to say he was taken at the 10 spot because it was a 10-man league at that turn. So it was like 10-11. They went Chubb. But
that seems about right. I mean, this seems – I have Chubb as my number 3 running back. So I mean, I feel like outside of some other things not happening, I feel like Broy Dog got a pretty good value here with Nick Chubb.
No, absolutely.
5th running back off the board.
Yeah, I think Chubb is going to be incredible. I would, in my rankings, I have Chubb, I want to say over Bijan and Barkley too. So, no, I think that's great value. I would have had a hard time picking him over Diggs, to tell you the truth.
Oh yeah, I don't like him, and like Cooper Kupp goes 12. I would have taken him too. But in
can you
terms
believe
of
that? That's a slide.
Value. Yeah, Ryan starts off with. So let's run through this for the audio listeners real quick. Diggs goes 10. Your brother takes Patrick Mahomes at 11. Kupp at 12. Jacobs at the 201. AJ Brown at the 202. But yeah, what do you think about Kupp going here at 112?
I'm surprised Darren passed up on Kupp in our other league that we were in on Saturday. He went wide receiver running back until like round 8. So he might be trying something a little new here as well. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, if you're looking at his ADP, he's going like 14. So 14, 15. So really not that big of a difference from an ADP standpoint. But I would have had a hard time passing up Kupp here. Maybe he was targeting Diggs, but he sets himself up with, a top 3 quarterback and a top 5, top 6 wide receiver in AJ Brown. Not a bad turn. And then Kevin lands at the 203 CD Lamb. So Lamb and Diggs.
I like that.
What a set of receivers right there. That's like, I was doing mock drafts, and every scenario I was like, that's dream right there on the back end of a round. Like, that's the dream flip.
Yeah, that's a really, really good start, in my opinion, for Kev there. Anytime you can get Diggs to slide to 10, I've got Diggs more in the middle of the first round. And then you get Lamb to come all the way back. I like that a lot. As Garrett Wilson goes 204. Real quick, Nate in the chat. Appreciate you all being here. Don't feel bad to roast our picks too. You guys can throw in some roasting if you need to, or give us some explanation on your own picks. But Nate in his other draft says he took Burks at 13 in his other drafts. How do you feel about that? I love Treylon Burks this year. So anytime you can get a guy with his upside in the second year as a wide receiver, great skill set there in Tennessee. Like, I love that pick. How do you feel about Burks?
Burks in the 13th round. I mean, that's pretty solid. Trevor just disgusted with the Derrick Henry in round 2. I would have been thrilled if Derrick Henry made it over to me. You know I'm hitting that button. You know it. But
yeah,
I don't even know what you're talking about. I just like that.
I don't either.
I just love your enthusiasm about Derrick Henry in drafts. It's so good because I'm just on the exact opposite end of the table from you.
Yeah, I'm just, man.
Lee with the double running back start, though.
A high T for sure. Old school way of going about the fantasy football draft. I'm just, I mean, I've been very open about Derrick Henry, and there's just so many guys on the board right now. I mean, Devontae Adams goes right after him. Devontae Adams is one of the best wide receivers in the game. Why?
Yeah, he's another guy I've seen sliding though. Devontae
I think
Adams.
a lot of that's about the quarterback, probably. Yeah. Honestly, and I don't blame it. Like I get to that part.
Yeah. No, it definitely makes sense. It's just like it's one of those things where, you know, I almost see it as like DeAndre Hopkins, what he went through early in his career. He was still putting up his numbers with a bad quarterback. Yeah. Like I feel like Adams is going to bring that same flair. Now, am I taking Adams over any of the other receivers that have already been selected? Maybe Garrett Wilson, but that'd be it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm even taking over Garrett Wilson. No, I'm not. Actually, there's a couple guys I would still take over him at this point. I don't mind. I mean, Adams in, what is this, pick 15, 13? It's about where I have him. So I don't mind. I have Henry so far down that there's no way I'm even thinking about Derrick Henry at that point. And the worst part is, like, even if I have Derrick Henry overall.
Jalen Hurts off the board.
He falls back to 23. I'm probably still not actually taking him where I have him ranked at. Damn it.
Amon-Ra St. Brown right before you. I knew that's who you're eyeballing. I knew you're eyeballing Amon-Ra.
Oh, man.
Now you got to pull up the board.
Woo.
You're going to make Trevor take Jonathan Taylor.
Man. No way. I was getting so pumped. I'm like, why is this guy still on the board? Why is this happening? Let me take him.
What did I do to deserve this?
The guy I have over Devontae Adams. You know, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I knew that's who you're referencing to. You said there's a couple guys. I was like, oh, Trevor loves Amon-Ra right now.
So for me here, yeah, thanks. You know what I thought about earlier today is like getting like some kind of like sniper like soundbite, and just every time he gets sniped. Anyways, I like Waddle here. I like Olave here. Obviously, I already have Tyreek Hill, so I'm not really interested in double stacking the Dolphins.
Right.
It feels like it kind of lowers my ceiling a little bit. Even though I like that offense a lot, it just doesn't feel right. So I'm going to go ahead and snag and go anchor RB and get Tony Pollard, who seems to be lining up for a ton of volume.
Oh, yeah.
With the Dallas
Cowboys. I love that pick. That's who I was kind of eyeballing a little bit. Josh Allen goes and leaves me open to take my pick here. Woo! Okay. I mean, I'm really looking at Waddle or Olave here, and I'm going with Olave. I like him a little bit better than Waddle this year. I think I have him like 1 or 2 spots above. I got my 2 starting receivers. I feel pretty good about the way that turned for me. I thought Olave would go somewhere in the middle. Allen and Hurts getting snagged, I think, helped push him back to me a little bit.
Yeah, 3 quarterbacks going in the first. Jahmyr Gibbs. Nate wasn't kidding. Nate said, I'm about to go crazy. And he goes, Jahmyr Gibbs and gets his boy. Get your guy.
Wow. So, I mean, Fields. This is a no-brainer to me. I'm taking Mark Andrews here.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to survive the turn there, but I am pretty happy about the way. I'm pretty happy about the way that just played out right there, buddy.
Man, oh man, I was really hoping. Which, I mean, we talked about in the tight end, our tight end show, and it still holds true. I I love Mark Andrews in the third round. If I can get him, I'm getting him every time.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the third round.
I mean, Waddle obviously still being on the board made me a sort of think about it, but just the positional value here. Andrews typically is going somewhere late second, early third anyway, so I don't feel like I'm overpaying for him with draft capital here with that pick. Justin Fields, I am really excited to see what he does this year. I think it's going to be a big prove-it year for him. Jahmyr Gibbs going at the 212. That's a little bit earlier than what I've seen in a lot of my home leagues, to tell you the truth, but I know he's in line for a lot of volume too. Boom, T. Higgins. He already knew.
Boom, T. Higgins. Oh, yeah, I knew where I was going. I actually I appreciate Reed taking Jalen Waddle because I was getting a little worried. If he took T. Higgins, I was really going to be forced to potentially take Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith, who goes right after T. Higgins here at the
wide
305. So
the high-end wide receiver 2 run right now. Jalen Waddle, Higgins, Devontae Smith. Those guys have carried a lot of weight coming into this season. Just like the expectations for them have been so high. I mean, all three of those guys would be the number one receiver on any other team, you know?
Absolutely. 100%. And I think that they all have great upside. They're all standalone values are obviously through the roof, but the ceilings of these guys, if just so happens AJ Brown or Jamar Chase or Tyreek gets injured, I mean, these guys, they elevate into top 5 wide receiver status in a hurry. If somebody were to go down, and again, they're already top 12 in my opinion, without somebody going down. So great, high floor with a high upside, high ceiling type plays here in the third round.
Calvin Ridley goes right after Devontae Smith at number 30 overall, the 306. He is a guy from the first draft I did in early August to now that has skyrocketed up the board. I mean, just the expectations for him are super high too. Dang it, Lamar Jackson goes. ETN and then Lamar Jackson goes. I was really hoping to get that stack on the back end. I was worried about you taking him in the 4th, but I guess he goes a little bit earlier than that.
Yeah, definitely need to be worried about me. What I'm not worried about anymore is Lee because he doesn't have any wide receivers. What are we doing? Come on now. No, love Lamar Jackson. I've got him as my number 3 quarterback this year behind Hurts and Allen and just in front of Patrick Mahomes. Travis Etienne went right before him to Nick. Broy Dog takes Najee Harris at 309. You were talking about Calvin Ridley, just not a guy I've been able to get on to, honestly. I haven't moved him up in my rankings a whole lot.
Yeah.
I've still
he goes too high for me.
I think that's
I'm
probably
never
why
ready
I'm so
to make
off.
that pick.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm so turned off. I just don't want to do that.
I really like Christian Kirk too in that offense. Like, I think he's still going to be a big contributor, and you're getting him 3 rounds later. I don't know that their numbers are going to be super different. And yeah, I don't know. That's just one that I feel like I can't pay for. I can't afford him.
Yeah. I just don't want to. I don't want to do that. DK Metcalf, Kevin goes
triple
wide receiver to start. That right now there's a glaring value on the board for me.
Yeah.
Do you have anything out there that without, obviously giving away too much, but
I don't want to tip anyone off. There is a couple of guys that I'm looking at here. Obviously Jonathan Taylor's going to be hanging out on our board. Deebo Samuel was a guy that I was thinking about initially as far as carrying a lot of value, not necessarily compared to what his ADP is, because that's right about where he's going. 38 overall, 37, 39 in that range.
Yeah.
But there is one guy that I'm looking at that I'm kind of surprised. A couple of these, I don't want to get too deep into it, I guess. Well, wait. There he is.
Well, I'll get deep into it now.
There he is. There he is.
Yeah. I was talking about Ramondre. Is that who you were going with as well?
Yes, that's what I was going with. I was surprised Najee and even I'd probably go ETN over him, but Najee is a surprise over Stevenson. Jahmyr Gibbs over Stevenson is a surprise to me as well. But I don't think Zeke really hurts his value a ton. We kind of talked about it in our running back show a couple weeks ago, but there's still a lot of potential for him to come. Or that was the running back Rumbles of Red Duel show right there.
Yep.
But I think he still has a lot of potential to do what he does in the passing game. Zeke's not really that guy. That was kind of what you were saying last week. And, I really bought into that. We got a running back run going.
Yeah, we do here. As Stevenson goes at the 312, Mixon 401, Aaron Jones 402. Kev takes his first running back at 403, and Kenneth Walker.
Not bad.
Yeah, I'm really, really high on Ramondre. I've got him up at RB8. I have not moved him since we've talked about him. Some of these guys, I just don't have a reason right now to move Ramondre. Excuse me. My fault. I have Ramondre at 7 now because I moved him up because I've moved Jonathan Taylor down.
Oh, perfect.
Which means I have Derrick Henry in my top 8 now. So, I'm jumping on the ship apparently. But yeah, I've got Ramondre way up here. I love him in the back end of the second round. Saquon I have ranked right above him, but you're never getting Saquon that late. And if Tony Pollard would have been gone, and I didn't get him in the second round, if I got a guy like, say I took St. Brown in the second round, I probably would have been looking at Tony Pollard early third, or Ramondre early third there.
No, I wouldn't have blamed you at all with that pick. He just carries a lot. He's going to be the heart and soul of that offense at the end of the day,
Joe Burrow comes here at 404, Hawkinson 405. Lee still doesn't have a wide receiver. Amari Cooper at 406. I had my eye on Amari Cooper. I think he's got sneaky upside. I think this whole offense, I believe Deshaun Watson will be a little better this year. Hawkinson at 405 here. I'm not surprised. It's kind of about where I like to take him as well. But I am starting to get a little worried about this injury thing. Like, he had an ear infection, and now he's hurt again. Are you worried about Hawkinson, or do you think come September the 10th he'll just be out there rocking and rolling?
Here's the thing that really juices me up about Hawkinson. I get really excited about him because he's entering a contract year. This is a big pay year for Hawkinson. The Vikings like him. He likes it out there in Minnesota. I think he really completes that offense. He takes some of that pressure off of Justin Jefferson, and having Jordan Addison in there as well is going to be a big add for them. Ear infection, that's like one of those things you can't really control. That's like if your appendix bursts, like we've seen that with some players sometimes. He hasn't really had a long history outside of that, at least from what I can recall. So
Herbie's going to auto drop Jonathan Taylor.
Come on.
Oh,
Breece Hall.
He must have had him on cue or something. I thought he was about to auto draft Johnny Taylor.
Breece Hall goes right after Amari Cooper, which not a bad spot for Breece right there. Nicholas juices me up.
George Kittle goes here at 408, and I am back on the clock. And I'm going to go ahead and just continue to take wide receiver here. And I'm going to go off of my rankings, which has one DJ Moore at wide receiver 19. I've got him over here above guys that are on the board like Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins. So I'm going to take DJ Moore.
Nice. I like his upside. Sorry, I'm sure Nate at the end there was hoping he would get that stack going with DJ Moore and Fields.
It would have been a nice one to have, that's for sure. But
so, yeah, no kidding. Keenan Allen comes off the board. This makes my decision pretty easy. I was looking at maybe him. Keenan Allen always scares me with his injury history, but I'm going to go D-Hop. I love me some DeAndre Hopkins. I'm totally a fan of him in that offense with Tennessee. And, we saw what A.J. Brown could do with it, so I'm excited. We got got a pretty good set of pass catchers here on my team. So this is right up my alley as far as how I like to build my teams out.
Yeah, you're going full on 0 RB with 3 wide receivers and 1 tight end. I've liked your start so far as well. I've got an anchor RB start with 3 wide receivers and 1 running back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything in the onesie positions, a quarterback and tight end yet. Once we get past our picks, I kind of want to have a conversation around a couple of these onesie positions, just how you're feeling about them and how I'm feeling. Just right now we've got 6 quarterbacks off the board, 4 tight ends off the board through 4 rounds. So it's been a good 4 rounds as Drake London ends the 4th round at 412. It hasn't been too crazy, I don't think.
The Jonathan Taylor slide is over.
All right, so where he goes here at pick 49.
Yep.
501.
Not bad. So I would have really liked to get Joe Burrow there where I selected DeAndre Hopkins. I was thinking about quarterback here on this turn. So I'm going to go with Justin Herbert as my onesie guy. Now I've got all my other positions set where I feel really good about the main guys that I'm going to be starting on Sunday. The Burrow chase would have been really nice. Not going to lie.
Yeah, Burrow chase would have been a great start for you.
Obviously, I don't have a running back. That's part of the 0 RB strategy. None of the running backs that were on the board at that time, like Dameon Pierce, I think is going to have some good touches, but none of the running backs carried as much value to me as Justin Herbert did for his particular position. I think Herbert has a strong potential to end up top 3 with the number of yards he throws for every year, 5,000. He doesn't carry the same rushing upside, but he's a safe quarterback and he puts up stats in bunches, even without his receivers who get hurt quite often. So
yeah, and that's what's
goes after me. And then, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna piggyback on your Herbert. I mean, yeah, Herbert was my last. Like, I haven't really been clicking the button on Lawrence, so Herbert was like my last guy. If he goes there, I'm gonna take him, get my quarterback, because he's gonna dump it off to Eckler. He in that offense, they're going to be powerful, whether or not it's Hurt Keenan Allen or Mike Williams. Like, they're still going to figure it out. We saw that last year from them, right? And Herbert had a great season still. I think he would have had a greater season had they stayed healthy. They're a little deeper at the position of wide receiver now. Get Everett in there still, Eckler there still. So, yeah, I like Justin Herbert. He is kind of like my last quarterback that I'm taking early.
So you go Christian Watson. What was the thinking there since you couldn't get you didn't get Herbert, you weren't clicking on Trevor Lawrence? Was there any other players you were considering there?
So real quick, Lawrence goes at 505, Dobbins, Goddard, the 6th tight end off the board already in the 5th round, Brandon Ayuk. So at 504, I take Christian Watson. There's some running backs I liked in this range that, J.K. Dobbins was one of them. I like him here. If I had not taken Tony Pollard already, I probably would have went running back here. There's just a couple guys I like here. I really wanted Drake London. He goes at the turn, so he doesn't fall back to me. And then I talked about Justin Herbert. None of these tight ends. I wanted nothing to do with tight ends here. I didn't really want to spend 2 picks in the top 5 on running backs, so that kind of pushed me to, okay, I'll just go back to wide receiver, PPR league, 2 flexes, so I can, I can start up the 4 wide receivers every week. So I might as well just continue to snag, my top wide receivers at this point. And Christian Watson was my next one on my board. McLaurin at 509, Damon Pierce at 510. Just not, Damon Pierce just not the name this year as he was last year. Last year he was the hot commodity.
I was a big fan of him. had him on one of my squads. He ended up being a guy. I'm pretty sure I was able to pick him up off waivers actually right before the season started. We had an earlier draft that year before the hype train really got going for him. I'm interested to see what the dynamic's going to be with Devin Singletary back there. I don't think he's going to hawk too much from him in terms of end zone touches, but I think maybe they could work Singletary in on third downs a little more, that kind of thing. McLaurin, because of his injury, I think he's been slipping quite a bit.
Yeah.
Might miss a couple games to start the season, but once he comes back, you got a bona fide wide receiver one. I'd say a low end wide receiver one, high upside wide receiver two. If you're looking at it from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, I haven't really moved him down too much in my own rankings. I like Terry McLaurin. I think this offense has kind of looked good here in the preseason. If anything, and I think we talked about it last week or the week before, I moved Dotson up just a little bit, just because, of course, like I'm going to like him because I could potentially get him from week 1. But yeah, I'm not going to hate on McLaurin right now. I really think this could be a potential breakout year with the way Sam Howell has looked so far. Now, granted, against backups and those kind of things, but hey, you still got to perform on the field. And I think Sam Howell's looked pretty good. So we'll see how that goes.
No, they gave him the job pretty early in the preseason, so they're seeing something out of him that's sticking out, and he's had some good performances. So Tyler Lockett, Chris Godwin, they go at the turn. Alexander Madison goes at 6'2". Kev is on the clock. He's got 3 receivers, 2 running backs. Wonder if he's going to just keep stacking those positions or grab one of these guys.
I missed this. This must have been whenever I took DJ Moore. He's a good ball player, man.
What are you gonna do? Like,
game recognized
let
game.
Him just go right by you. You can't just let a good player go right by you.
I saw him take that screen pass to the house in preseason. Let's go.
We need that. Kev takes Cam Akers.
Yeah, 3rd straight running back after starting. This is like a modified 0 RB. He starts with 3 wide receivers, but then goes 3 running backs straight.
I'm honestly
he's got a 3-3 build.
I'm surprised the back end of this draft has been taking so many running backs because I feel like most of these teams are already kind of RB heavy. I don't know. Maybe that's just my biased look at it because I have a different approach.
All 4 have 3 running backs already.
Yeah.
Yeah, all 4 of them have 3 running backs already, which is now Ryan, I feel like with the Stevenson Mixon, he got a pretty good value on Stevenson. Mixon's not bad right there.
Right. And he goes 2 receiver right
and
there.
And then he follows it up with 2 receivers. But yeah, both your brother and Kev, Darren, is that what you said, Darren?
Yeah.
Darren and Kev, both 3 running backs in a row.
Boom, boom, boom.
4, 5, 6. I wouldn't mind if they just want to continue to fall off the board here. There goes back. Alvin Kamara. Definitely had my eye on him to get here. Doesn't happen.
Whoa,
Jerry Jeudy goes. Herbie from the Lou goes. James Conner. I'm on the clock, and it's pretty screaming to me where I'm going to go here. I have no questions. I'm just updating my own little sheet. I'm going Kyle Pitts.
Yep.
I have him at tight end 5. And I didn't even realize he was way up here at the top. I thought maybe he wasn't on the top. I haven't really looked at that. But yeah, I got Kyle Pitts here. I have a tight end 5. I'll take him here in the 6th round. I didn't expect him to fall back here. I didn't love him over, Christian Watson in the last round. I almost took him, but yeah, now I feel like it's screaming value that I almost took him in the 5th round. He comes all the way back to the 6th.
No, that's immense value. That's great pick right there. Surprise. Yeah, that's maybe another thing that some of these other teams on the back end probably could have gone tight end, but he just continues his slide. I think people have some PTSD about Kyle Pitts from last year too, to tell you the truth.
Oh yeah, for sure, and understandably, but he also dealt with injury the entire season. I think that they're going to be a better football team this year. I'm not saying they're going to be phenomenal, but I do think they're going to be a better football team. I think that Desmond Ridder has been given the keys. I don't think he's any Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts, but I think he could be a competent quarterback. They're going to run the ball a lot, which will open up the play action. And Kyle Pitts, I mean, he's a quarterback's best friend, right? Run
Absolutely.
the play action over the middle, nice easy throws to a guy who's going to get open and earn his targets.
No,
Love
definitely.
that pick. Love that pick.
Go Javonte Williams is my first RB off the board. There were a couple guys available that I would consider, but I got to go with the guy who's going to be the bona fide number one. Couple of these other guys are splitting some touches. Don't really know how it's going to shake out. We know Williams is going to be the guy there.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, obviously somebody could poke a hole in just because of the coming off the injury, but he's already played so far in the preseason. He seems to look pretty good. Mm-hmm. And had Kyle Pitts not have fallen, I would have taken Javonte actually in the 5th. So you can thank the rest of the draft for that one.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
George Pickens, I like that pick.
That's a good pick. That's another guy that people have been taking. He's been going. So a lot of ADPs, for whatever reason, have him behind Deontay Johnson, but he's been getting picked ahead of Deontay Johnson in every home league that I've been a part of.
Yeah, I think some of these ADPs just kind of fall behind. I mean, I always find it weird on Sleeper, mostly because there's so much dynasty drafting that happens. Like, how much of this ADP is affected by that?
Right.
I'm not 100% sure, but I always feel like that could be a part of it,
Yeah, absolutely. So David Montgomery goes. He grabs both Lions running backs in this scenario here. Whoever rises to the top, he has a sure bet on that Lions grab. I had to go Dalvin Cook here. I really like his potential in that Jets offense. And he's coming off that shoulder injury. He's going to be all fresh, ready to go. No shoulder popping out in the middle of the game. Michael Pittman, that was a tough one.
Yeah, I had my eye on Pittman here. I actually think I'm going to go with a guy. Running back is probably where I should go, but I don't love the next one on my board. I love him. He's my son's favorite player, not named Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce. But it just, I don't know how many passes he's going to catch. And he does kind of worry me. I don't know how much goal line action he's going to get.
Yeah.
So I am going to how much time do I have? Where's it at? Oh, it's right there. I'm going to go here, Mike Evans. It's going to be my 5th wide receiver off the board. There are a couple guys I like a little bit more than Mike Evans. I actually have him ranked higher, but I've been kind of warming up to the idea of Mike Evans. I mean, 1,000 yards in 9 straight seasons, something crazy like that. The dude's a touchdown machine.
Oh, yeah.
And doesn't matter he had terrible quarterbacks before Tom Brady. And he did really well. So
he had Jameis Winston and Ryan Fitzpatrick and just about anybody else you can think of throwing him the ball.
Yeah. And so I'm kind of warming up to him a little bit more. And I haven't officially moved him above Mike Williams or Marquise Brown, but I think I really need to. And I need to probably move him up because I am starting to warm up to him quite a bit recently.
Yep.
Sometimes when I make rankings, like when I'm drafting, I'm like, all right, I'd rather take Mike Evans than Mike Williams. So I should probably just move up in my rankings.
Right.
It just
absolutely.
Straight up.
You don't always take best available, even in an actual draft, that's not always the case. So
how are you feeling at that time?
Yep, absolutely. After you take Mike Evans, Isaiah Pacheco goes at the 705, Mike Williams 706, Deshaun Watson 707, Jahan Dotson, another guy I've seen moving up because of that McLaurin injury. And then Evan Ingram gets selected by the Broy Dogs. So there's that AFC South action going on.
Yeah, I thought you said that he was a Titans fan. He's taking the Jaguars here.
He's taking the right approach then, because you got to take what's best for your team.
I was gonna make a comment here about Jahan Dotson as Gambler takes him here. Lee's always in our chats. That's I mean, I'm moving him up my ranks. This is a guy who's moving up the drafts, as you mentioned. This is really where I like him. Like I love taking that swing for the fence in the 7th round. I don't like him if Brandon Ayuk is my wide receiver 1 and Jahan Dotson is my wide receiver 2. Like I love him because I'm gonna have 2 or 3 wide receivers before that in the 7th round. But yeah, this is exactly where I'm taking him right now. I do like Jahan Dotson this year. Jordan Addison goes at the 7-10 to Kev. We'll
Still
see if
no
some
quarterback or tight end for Kev either.
Yeah, he's just rolling without him. Ryan doesn't have a quarterback here or a tight end. Darren's got Mahomes from the 1st and then no tight end. So we'll see if these guys keep hammering the running backs at the turn or if they want to go and get a couple more wide receivers or they start hitting that onesie position with the quarterbacks here. How do you feel about quarterbacks right now?
Well, we have 4 teams without tight ends. We have 2 without quarterbacks. If I'm and there we go. One of each of those positions were just taken care of. So Deontay Johnson goes to Darren at 7-11, 7-12, Pat Freiermuth, and then he follows that up at 8-1 with Tua Tagovailoa. As far as quarterback goes, if I'm not getting, really it's Mahomes through Lawrence in those first 4 or 5 rounds, and I'm waiting a long time before I take a quarterback. I just think after Lawrence, really, the gap is not very big from quarterback to quarterback. So really it's about, grabbing what's going to be best for your team. In one of my drafts, the one I did on Monday night, I missed out on a quarterback for several rounds, just kept getting the quarterback I wanted taken from me right before. So I ended up with Tua later in the draft because I took Tyreek Hill. It was between Tua and another quarterback. Actually, it's your boy A Rich, and I went Tua in that scenario.
Yeah, and I think that the one thing that I heard that really resonates with me is that you kept getting sniped, right? Your quarterback kept going every time. And instead of reaching for a quarterback, you just let the draft fall to you.
Yep.
All right, whatever. You take Jalen Hurts. All right, I'll take Amon-Ra St. Brown for now. Or, whatever. Right. You don't have to then necessarily reach for the very next guy just because that's what you were going to take. And I see that happen a lot. I feel like that's why you get into these mini runs within a draft of, 4 or 5 tight ends go or 4 or 5 quarterbacks go. It doesn't have to happen that way. You don't have to take a quarterback just because you wanted to take a very specific, quarterback. Just let the draft come to you, man, and don't panic.
Yeah.
Don't panic.
That's the biggest piece, I think, is the don't panic, right? Don't let that fear of not getting your guy ruin everything else for you. Absolutely. So Tua, James Cook goes, David Njoku goes, and then JSN goes right after that to the Broy Dog. I'm wondering when he's going to come back, JSN, because his injury is kind of open-ended from what it looks like.
He avoids the pup, right?
Yeah.
But are they going to keep active for a couple weeks? It does sound like he was trying to get back as early as possible. I think their bye week is week 5. So had he hit the pup, then it's week 6, you'll be ready to go. But yeah, I think he should be out there, week 2 or 3. It seems like. Why else would you not keep him on the PUP?
Right.
49ers. Oh, he's on auto draft. That's
Herbie.
probably that's why.
Herbie from the Lou.
He is on auto draft. There's a wide receiver I love right here, but I've already got 5 of them, so I'm not going to go that route at this moment. Instead, I could snipe our guy out of the 101 because I really do love that running back. But I'm going to take who I think is going to be a wide running back 1 on a team that I've talked a lot about already tonight, and that's the Washington Commanders. I think this offense is going to be pretty good, giving multiple options for Brian Robinson. Jesus, I almost clicked Antonio Gibson. Brian Robinson to get some goal line work. That would have been, I mean, I would have lived with it, but man, I just saw Gibson. I'm like, oh yeah, Washington running back. No, I want Brian Robinson. I want the goal line work for this Washington offense.
Absolutely. No, I like Brian Robinson. Him and Gibson work in really good tandem, I think. But Robinson's the clear the bell cow, right, for that offense.
Yeah, I keep seeing like Gibson being essentially the J.D. McKissick, right, of this offense, which is a fine
fallback.
It's a fine a position to be in. He's going to catch some passes. But
So
yeah,
Brandon
give me that
Cooks
bell cow.
I'm going A.J. Dillon here. I need another running back, I think. I can grab some receivers a little bit later. Plus, that gives me a guy who's not on the same buy cycle as my other 2 running backs. Treylon Burks goes right after. Something interesting about Antonio Gibson that I found is that they've been lining him up in the slot.
Oh, okay.
Quite a bit. So that's actually where I'm going to go next.
I was looking at Khalil Herbert for sure.
Yeah.
RB1 in Chicago.
Yep. Swiped him. No, Herbert. That's in the draft chat. So I was going to go with this guy, but I'm second guessing it because I'm actually going to stack up another receiver with my quarterback. I'm going Quentin Johnston here.
I like that. Oh, man. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I want to do. There's definitely some quarterbacks still on the board that I like. And you had talked about earlier, like at this point, there's only 2 of us who have not taken a quarterback, myself and Kev the Dude. You know what, Kev the Dude? Take your boy. I'll leave him to you. Although I should draft him for the brand, right? This is another damn fantasy podcast league. I should draft him for the brand. This is about where I would draft him. And Anthony Richardson is who I am talking about, of course. But there are some guys I like that are still on the board that I'm not, dying to go snag right this moment. I have an opportunity to add a little bit of running back depth to my team. And there's a guy that I have been in love with all summer long. He avoided the Dalvin Cook trade. He has avoided the Jonathan Taylor trade thus far and will for at least 5 weeks. And his name's Devin Achane.
No.
And I think he's going to be the number 1 running back in Miami.
Stop.
I have him ranked as well. And I feel like I've waited until round 7, 8, and round 9, and I got 2 RB1s on their teams.
You're killing me. He was so far down on that chart. I was like, oh, I'm definitely getting him in round 10.
Yeah, you notice I haven't even looked. I keep the chart down so we can see I don't even look at the chart. I want to look at it. Now, I do that, though. It's a very good point that you bring up. There have been times where I'm like, oh, okay, I could wait another round or 2 for this guy.
No one else is looking at him
Nobody else is looking at him. Yeah, because they're looking at, the ADPs or whatnot on the site that you're running it on.
Right.
NFL, the draft I had on Monday, NFL.com is really, really notorious for that. I mean, there was guys in like the 300s. I have no idea why. But it's a
their
weird,
ranking is
weird
the
ranking.
worst, dude. The worst thing ever. Like, I was drafting guys, and I had people. The very first draft, they were like, "Where was he at? Where has that guy been?"
Nate, I assume you were talking about Anthony Richardson. He was 100% on my radar. I'm actually getting a little worried because Herbie's on flipping auto draft and snagging quarterbacks all of a sudden. So Nate says he was not. So now I kind of wonder who did you think I was looking to take there? Let me know. Ryan says A-Chain was in my queue for the turn here as well.
I wouldn't have made it back anyway.
Not at all. Would have made sense. He did get the Tua last time, kind of add a little Miami to his team. But yeah, I love me some Devin A-Chain.
What you got, Nick? Antonio Gibson
goes.
I'm really excited to see what that offense looks like with him in the slot. That tells me they're going to run a lot of sets with him and Brian Robinson on the field, kind of like what we saw last year with the Packers.
Oh.
Ouch.
Oh, Lee just sniping. I want to know, Kev. Kev, if you're watching today, I want to know, were you going to be taking Richardson here in the 9th round? It's the perfect time to take him. You've had a really good setup here. It would have been perfect for him to take Anthony Richardson.
All that A-Rich talk on the show is what that's the juju I try to avoid. When people start talking about players that haven't been drafted yet, I'm like, come on, I'm like that QB in the visiting or at the home stadium trying to quiet the crowd down. Like, hey, we got the offense at work here. I just like don't bring attention to him.
Nick says in the draft chat, two quarterbacks. Yeah, getting Lamar and then now Anthony Richardson. Gabe Davis goes in 909. I think Gabe Davis has some good upside, especially in the 9th round. Not too bad.
Not bad.
So now I'm starting to think about quarterback a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to get so deep that I have no options, but there are still some options out there that I don't necessarily hate. As
that's
Kev
one of the
takes
options
Kirk Cousins.
I would have liked.
Yeah, but also as we know on this show, I will straight up stream quarterbacks every week if I have to. It's not going to bother me one bit. Aaron Rodgers goes at 9-11.
I think they're just trying to spite you now. Like,
let's do it.
Ryan takes a QB here,
I'll go on quarterback runs. Let's go.
I know who Trev's going for at QB.
I'm like, if you guys want to just keep taking them, I'll just keep snatching up all this value in running back.
Elijah Moore is a guy that I'm really excited about.
Oh yeah, I've been trying to take a little bit of Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore was one of those guys we were just talking about, like had a super bad ranking on NFL, and so I waited like 3 more rounds before I actually took him. It felt so good.
It's beautiful.
It felt so good. Odell Beckham, 3rd wide receiver there in Baltimore.
Ooh, damn you, Kev.
He was on my radar a little bit for sure.
I would have really liked to see Penny get back to me.
What's the player pool looking like? Let's get rid of this. So a bunch of defenses up here. Dalton Schultz, Juju, Charbonnet, Cole Kmet, P. Ryan. Why is he starred? I didn't star him. Did I? I don't want him starred. Does that mean he's in the queue? Yeah. I didn't want that.
Show us who else you have starred.
I'm like, dude, I swear I did not star P. Ryan. I must have clicked it on accident running through here. Zeke, Gino, McKinnon. Some guys out there. Charbonnet goes here.
It's a good pick.
At 10:04. Cole Kmet as Lee's 2nd tight end goes. Zeke, and then Juju.
Well, dang. That's a bummer.
Tyler, I will come through this computer, man.
What was that one?
I'm gonna come through this computer if he does this to me. And he'll do it out of spite too. I will get in my car and I will drive to your house. And then I will wish you good luck.
And give you a firm
All
hand.
right. I'm tired of sweating this thing out. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm gonna take my top 10 quarterback, Daniel Jones.
DJ.
Man, I don't think anybody on the turn was actually going to take a second quarterback at this point, but the fact that I can get him this late, yeah, I'll take that. Feels like great value for me. But I have him ranked a little higher than most people do too, so
yeah,
that changes the game a little bit. All right, we are. I'm going to let you kind of think through your pick. I'll give the audio listeners a quick rundown of where I'm at with my team through 10 rounds. I just took Daniel Jones as my first quarterback off the board at 10-9. Tony Pollard, my anchor running back. Brian Robinson, Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, Kyle Pitts, DJ Moore, Christian Watson. I've got Mike Evans and Devin A-Chain to round out my first 10 picks here. Dan is about to take his 10th pick at 10.11 as he sits here in the back of the 10th round.
Reed took my handcuff and Samaje Perine. It would have been nice to get him right here. Who has James Cook? Raise your hand if you have James Cook.
Earlier. Darren's got him at 8-2.
Sorry, brother. I'm taking your handcuff. I'm grabbing Damian Harris here.
Damian Harris.
I
kind of like the handcuff of a different running back than my own a little bit more. What do you think about that? Would you rather have Perine than Harris? Just because I feel like if Williams goes down, yeah, you've got another running back to play. But if Cook goes down, now you've got Williams and Harris to play. I'll let you draft first, obviously.
Ideally, Reed would have taken someone else. And I would have taken Harris because I really didn't see Nate taking a running back here as he's got 4. And so I would have been able to grab Perine on the flip. But I'm not in love with my running back situation. I do really like my wide receiver situation. However, I am going to take a number 1 receiver here.
No.
And it's going to be my guy out of Houston.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not grabbing your guy from New York. You can still
New York. New York. I don't have a guy in New York. Oh, because Daniel Jones. No, I'm not doing that. I have a guy that I'm looking at that's I don't think is the number 1 wide receiver anymore, but at one point could have been the number 1 wide receiver. So that's what I was thinking. Maybe you were going that route. Definitely a screaming value still on the board here. A guy I'm not going to be taking just because I already took Kyle Pitts in the 6th round, but Chiga Conquo is still sitting out there.
There are some tight end names that I'm still pretty excited about.
That's a guy that if Pitts wouldn't have fallen and I would have got him in the 11th, I would have been very happy with. Tank Bigsby goes.
Tank.
Good running back. A little bit earlier than I would have snagged him here. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and take another wide receiver with pretty high upside. He's got a rookie on the other side of him, and then a guy who didn't play at all last year in Odell Beckham. So I'm going to take Rashad Bateman with this Baltimore offense that I like a lot.
Batman.
Guy's got to stay healthy, of course. But again, you know, I'm taking him as my 6th wide receiver here. So just trying to play the upside game with this guy.
Not a lot of risk for you in that scenario. You've got pretty much your whole starting crew with some rotational pieces. Algier and then McKinnon go. 2 more running backs. Running back heavy the last couple rounds.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why zero RB feels like it kind of works, or anchor RB right now. I mean, as you see, you get Javonte in the 6th, Dalvin in the 7th, Dylan in the 8th, Harris in the 10th. Like, those are good, valuable running backs. And now you've got a couple starters, and you didn't have to waste a running back pick on your first 5 picks.
It's pretty nice. I'm pretty excited to see how the rest of this draft shakes out. We got 16 rounds, right? That we're running.
It looks like 17. It's not. It's been going pretty good though.
Yeah, we're moving. I was just curious, kind of like how much further I can plan this out, like some other positions I can grab. I mean, I hate going strategy in the middle of a draft with people listening that I'm drafting with.
Yep.
But yeah, you won't see me taking, let's just say this, you won't see me taking a defense until round 17.
Absolutely. I love live drafts, because live drafts, there are no rules. You don't have to take a defense or kicker. So I won't. I'll just pick everybody else, and then once the teams are actually uploaded into the app, come next Thursday, I'll drop 2 players and I'll pick up a kicker and defense. But I don't have to do that, over the course of the first couple of weeks. Somebody might go on the injured reserve or something. You can use that spot. So I like that. And then the NFL app also doesn't make you draft a kicker or defense. So I didn't draft one of those in the 14-team league either.
That's sick.
Yeah, I'll just wait it out. If I don't have to draft them, there's no point for me, in my opinion. Like, I don't need to draft one on August 30th. Right.
Yeah.
And there's been times that I've just straight up just gone and dropped the kicker. I'll pick him up later on and pick up another guy and see where I'm at with things once I get closer to the first week of the season, because we're still 10 days away before that first week.
Absolutely. A lot can happen.
7 days away until Red Wednesday, baby. But from that first Sunday, we're 10 days away.
Pump for some Red Wednesday. I'll have my Chiefs socks on as I'm out in the field. Triple Chief pick, by the way. McKinnon, Sky Moore, and then Rashee Rice all off the board. Sky Moore here, I really like that value. Obviously, he has potential here. Rashee Rice, I would have maybe grabbed a little bit later, but this is not far off. Tyler Boyd goes here. That's a pretty good pick.
Yeah, I had looked at more. The only reason I took Bateman over Moore in my situation was just the hope that Bateman could be the number 1, whereas obviously I hope that Sky Moore can be. I just don't expect him to be, especially if Tony is healthy. I do expect Tony to be the number 1. And just with Rice up and coming and Justin Ross, and Bateman being a number 1 brings a lot more value than Sky Moore being a number 1, just in general, like volume wise, right? If you think about these 2 offenses.
No, I'm totally with you there. I think that was part of my logic behind taking Nico Collins ahead of those guys too, is because he is a wide receiver 1 in an offense that maybe isn't going to put up crazy passing numbers this year, but he's still going to be a primary target, and he's been talked about quite a bit in the preseason this year.
Dalton Kincaid, our first rookie tight end.
That's one of those guys that I liked tight end wise. When we were talking about, you brought up Chigakonkwo, Dalton Kincaid on the board about this time. If I'm not going with a tight end early on, he is definitely one of those guys I've been grabbing quite a bit. My first 3 drafts, he ended up as my starting tight end. So,
and he is Darren's first tight end off the board here in round 11 today.
Hey, keeping the strategy in the family, brother. I love it.
So after all that running back talk, the running back kind of cooled off here in the back end of the round as Ryan goes Jamison Williams and Chico Okonkwo. I like Jamison Williams. I wish I could put him like in an IR spot, but he is suspended, so you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to hold on to him. He is going to take up a roster spot, but if you're willing to be patient and wait out those 6 weeks, I think that he'll definitely help take the top off the defenses once he's back in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him come back around. I would have, if he had made it to me at the 1302. That's probably where I was kind of targeting him. But knowing how Nate's been drafting Lions heavy, he probably wouldn't have let me get him.
Yeah, he's got Montgomery, he's got Gibbs, he's got Jefferson. I mean, the guy's just taken the entire NFC North.
Fields,
Herbert. Man, just taking all the NFC North guys. Alan Lazard goes off here at 12-2. Lazard's like, how do you feel about Lazard? I truly never even think about him in drafts.
Not at all. I don't think about any of the other Jets receivers, to tell you the truth. There's so many big names, not big names, but notable names in that room between Lazard and McCole Hardman and obviously Garrett Wilson. But I just don't see any of and then Randall Cobb too is there in New York, but I just don't see any of these other receivers having the impact that Garrett Wilson's going to have. Darnell Mooney, that's a guy that people have been forgetting about a lot. Had a 1,000-yard season last year.
Well, it's because DJ Moore's there now. Not saying they should. I'm just saying, like, I feel like that's why, right?
He's just fallen so far. Like in the 12th round, you're getting a guy with a 1,000-yard season last year. That's just crazy to me. Tyler Boyd is the third receiver on the Bengals team. Rashee Rice, a rookie, unproven, all getting taken ahead of Darnell Mooney. Jamison Williams played 3 games last year and will be suspended for 6. Just crazy.
Going ahead of Darnell Mooney. And, Mooney, I think this whole Chicago offense should Fields be great. I think this entire offense will shine around him.
Yeah. Really wanted to see Jalen Hyatt make his way back over to me too.
Lee's a Giants guy, loves his New York Giants, which is, you can see with the Saquon Barkley pick from the very beginning of the draft. Had to sneak in a little Jalen Hyatt there. A guy that I've been definitely rising on. Been taking a lot in best balls over the last 3 to 4 weeks. I'm excited about Jalen Hyatt this year.
Me too. Absolutely. I'm very big on him. Speedster, obviously. There's been people comparing him to Tyreek Hill, which automatically resonates with me, being a Chiefs fan myself. So definitely excited for him.
I got 4 bench spots left. Trying to think through some strategy here. How do I want this to go? Zay Jones and Adam Thielen go off the board here back to back. Thielen. I'm trying to rank Thielen.
Yeah, I don't think I ranked him either. He is. Isn't he the number 1 guy in Carolina? I mean,
or Mingo, maybe. I don't know. Depends on who you ask, I guess. But I think he's probably just a little bit dusty at this point.
Yeah, he didn't have that. He didn't have a whole lot of speed last year.
So I've got 4 more positional picks here. as who goes off right before me? Jonathan Mingo, the other
There he goes,
Carolina
the other
Panther.
Carolina guy.
I'm going to take – I think I'm just going to go ahead and keep rolling with the running backs I like here are Miami guys, which I already have the only Miami guy I really like. There's a couple other plays I could roll with, but I think I'm just going to keep going with guys who could be high upside wide receivers here as I build out my depth and take Van Jefferson, who I believe is going to be the number 2 wide receiver in LA. And if he's not at this point, whatever, I'll just drop him. But I think he's going to be the number 2 guy this year.
Man, I was really, really wanting Raheem Mostert right there. So I guess I'll settle for the other Miami guy. Jeff Wilson.
They were literally both the next 2 guys on my list. I'm like, well, I don't need to take them. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yep. I looking at those 2, and then I have another guy here. We'll see what Mr. NFC North does.
Josh Downs.
Okay.
Three spots left. All right, Nate, what do you think, man? What do you think? Nate was in the chat earlier. After you take your pick, give the audio listeners a little bit of taste of what your full team's looking like through 13 rounds as we kind of getting close to the end here. I think maybe after we get to the next turn, the 14-15 turn, maybe we can kind of start to look at shutting down as we take our kickers and defenses.
Yeah, do that
because
from
nobody really cares about that.
Do that from bed. So he was taking so much time. I knew he was going to go NFC North here with Deontay Foreman. So I'm going to go with the guy. I'll take a flyer on him because of this Jonathan Taylor situation, the way things are playing out. I'm going to go with Evan Hull, the rookie out of Indianapolis, as my next running back. I think he's going to get some significant playing time here. And then another guy I knew you were high on. This is a guy, Jared Goff, I thought you were going to take.
Earlier?
Quarterback, because I know you're high on him this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I got him in my top 15. He was the top quarterback on the board left for me, and plenty of quarterbacks have gone since. But yeah, since Daniel Jones was still chilling there, I wanted to make sure I had to snag him back then.
Absolutely. So for the audio listeners, I'll run through that team real quick for you. At quarterback, I've got Justin Herbert taken in the 5th round. My 2 running backs were back-to-back in the back end of the 6th. In the 7th, I took Javonte Williams and Dalvin Cook. My 2 receivers taken in my first 2 rounds, Jamar Chase, Chris Olave, followed by Mark Andrews at tight end in the 3rd. And then at my 2 flex positions currently, if I were to set my lineup today, would be DeAndre Hopkins and most likely somewhere between A.J. Dillon and Quentin Johnston. Probably later in the season, I can see that being a Quentin Johnston spot, as one of those Chargers receivers are likely to get hurt at some point, and where he'll get that increased targets. Followed by my bench spots with Damian Harris, Jeff Wilson, and Evan Hull at running back. And then I've got Nico Collins as my other receiver. So after starting heavy with my receivers, I have gone on more of a running back hunt here. because of the number of rounds that we have and because of the run that has been started with running back, had to get a little more creative on who I was taking. So with Evan Hull, a guy who I think is going to get the immediate benefit of Taylor being out early in the season. Zach Moss is also injured, and that really just leaves Deion Jackson. So he has a good opportunity to make an impression early.
Yeah, Evan Hull and Deion Jackson both had an opportunity to play a little bit in the preseason games. I think they both ended up scoring a touchdown in different games or whatnot. And
yep.
It seems like Hull is going to be, got the slight edge over Deion Jackson. It sounds like Evan Hull catches passes better than Deion Jackson, which is really the only thing that Deion Jackson did last year. So,
yeah.
What's he, Northwestern guy? Anyways, he's a rookie here. So,
yeah,
give him an opportunity to see what they got, especially if you're not willing to pay the running backs. You might as well, go with the rookie and really give him the opportunity to see what you've got with him this season. It feels more and more like it could be a potentially lost season for the Indianapolis Colts, which makes me like Anthony Richardson even more, honestly, because that means they're just going to let him fling the ball all over the place and run as much as he wants. As long as he keeps the interceptions down, he should have a pretty decent season. Let
Richardson cook.
That's right. Right. I ended up taking Jaylen Warren here in the 13th round. Still some wide receivers on the board that I like. I was kind of sitting between Warren and a couple other running backs, not Deuce Vaughn, so I won't name them yet. But, ultimately I take Jaylen Warren, who I think could be the pass-catching back in Pittsburgh. Dealt with a little bit of injury early in the offseason and never really lost his steam, though, coming out of the Pittsburgh camp. So that tells me that he's doing something right. And although, Pittsburgh's like very one running back heavy, look, if something were to happen to Najee early in the season, I'm set up with Warren. And if not, okay, I took him in the, 13th round. I could easily drop him for the hottest running back commodity off, that's going to come on waivers, because we always know they come on waivers early in the season, right? Like running back seems to be the hottest commodity on the waiver wire early in the season. Jacoby Myers was another guy I was looking at, but I already had enough wide receiver depth. He was a screaming value, but with all the wide receivers I already had, I felt like I needed to get a little bit of running back depth there.
Romeo Doubs goes. That's a guy who I was really big on last year. We'll see how that looks in this offense. They got another rookie receiver out there in Green Bay that I think could make an impact. So that's going to be one to watch for sure. Jordan Love. How do you feel about him in that Green Bay offense?
I think he's looked fine in the preseason here. I think that they're going to build this offense in a way that there are going to be a lot of quick, short passes, a lot of play action passes. He looks comfortable. He's been in the system for 3 years now?
Yeah.
Like he's had the opportunities to
develop.
So I'm not really worried about him. It's weird because it feels like people don't. Damn it.
There he goes.
I wanted Tajay Spears, but I wasn't ready to take him yet last time around. I should have just done it. Anyways, I feel like people are down on Jordan Love because he's been sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. But I don't think that's a bad thing. And it's not like he was losing, the starting position to Brock Purdy. Like he was losing the starting position to the MVP of the NFL. So, And he wasn't even losing it. He just wasn't going to beat him out anytime soon. So I'm excited to see what Jordan Love is going to bring to the table and giving him the keys to the franchise and really just letting him take off with it. And he's got good talent around him with Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. They brought in Musgraves, and they They obviously have Christian Watson, and Dobbs is still there. Like, I think they're going to be a good
Kraft was the other tight end I think they brought in.
Kraft, right? That's right. Yeah, to San Diego State. Pierce goes.
Alec Pierce.
Man, I thought about Spears last time, and I was like, no, I got time.
There's Brock Purdy.
There is Brock Purdy.
Is that Broydog's first quarterback?
What do you usually do? No, second. He took Bro.
Okay.
What's your strategy? If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. I'll definitely talk about mine. What's your strategy about quarterbacks in a one quarterback league in the drafts? Are you trying to come out of these things with a couple quarterbacks, or what is your strategy with quarterbacks?
Typically, no. I won't. I think league size impacts that. Like in a 14-person league, I'm probably trying to get 2. Just because the distribution. I mean, if you think about it, if every team in the draft takes 2 quarterbacks, that's 28 off the board. That really just leaves you 4 from the pool. But in like a 10-man league, there's no way in hell I'm taking a second quarterback. I'll just like drop somebody and pick someone up off waivers, play the matchup that way. In a 12-person league, probably not. But, you know, this is a little bit of a deeper bench situation. So maybe there is a chance I grab one here. It really depends on how the quarterback situation looks to me compared to some of these other positions. So, you know, with a draft like this, I'll kind of let it fall, you know, and see what happens. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are Tajay Spears and Keandre Miller were 2 guys that I really wanted to fall back to me, and neither one of them did. But in terms of quarterbacks, I'm never touching the second one unless I really punt it and I just miss everywhere that I try to take a quarterback. Then I might just snag 2. Like if I would have gotten Jared Goff in the 13th instead of D Jones in the 10th, maybe I take a Jared Goff and then take a guy like not Derek Carr, he's already gone, but like maybe like Russ, just to kind of see or see how he does this year or something like that. But I have a top 10 guy that I have ranked in the top 10, so I'm going to go ahead and roll with just the one quarterback here. Oh, that's the running back I'm going to take. Gus Edwards, another guy that just from this Baltimore offense, he's still, what are you doing? He's still going to be the running back 2, I believe, here. Mm-hmm. And J.K. Dobbins has dealt with a little bit of injury, although I really like J.K. Dobbins. I like his value this year. But, you know, I need a little bit of running back depth here. The 2 guys I really wanted were already taken. So I'll take Gus Edwards as my last running back and get out of here with 5 running backs in a league that I can technically start up to 4, but will rarely ever start more than 2.
Love that. All right, let's see what Reed does here. There's a couple of guys I'm looking at. He sniped me a few times in these later rounds.
Mims is good.
Yep, that's a good pick. That's not who I was looking at. I'm going to take the guy who I think is going to be the number 1 receiver in New York.
Slayton. Slayton.
They have a few guys that can rise to the top. Acquired Paris Campbell in the offseason. Jalen Hyatt's another guy who I was hoping to grab. Slayton, I think, is one of those other guys. But still, I mean, that's really one of those receiving cores that's kind of untapped right now.
It could be any of them. And at this point in the draft, I mean, just throw a dart.
Yeah.
See if you hit the right one.
You think Nate completes the Bears backfield and takes
Might as well
Johnson
take
here?
him, right? You might as well take him. He would have been my next running back on my list. Had Gus also been sniped. I don't know what to think about this Bears team. I think Herbert's the clear-cut number one.
Yeah.
But I do think that Roschon Johnson could also beat out Foreman over time. Nate had something to say about Jordan Love, though. He says Jordan Love is overrated. He's the worst quarterback in the league. I am guessing that this is coming from Nate's, like he's watching the film, he's grinding the tapes, he's touching the dirt, eating the grass. This has nothing to do with Nate being a Chicago Bears fan.
0 to do with it. I won't believe it.
He's grinding out there. Nate takes Skinny Pickett here. You and I just have one more pick before we shut it down.
Before it's kicker and defense time. Yeah, I think this is where I got to decide if I want to do a backup QB here, right?
Yep. And there's a couple on the board that, if Purdy would have fallen, I think I might have had a real conversation. If Russ or Derek Carr would have came back, I wasn't willing to take them earlier, but had they come around. But there's still some guys that have some upside. Like I'm thinking about Matt Stafford. Does he bounce back? And the Rams have a great offense this year?
Right. What does that look like for him this year?
Come on.
Maybe so. Michael Mayer going off the board here.
I thought about backup tight end. I love Gerald Everett.
Yeah, screaming value sitting out there.
So I think because I've got the Chargers offense going, it kind of makes sense. But something's telling me to take a Chief here.
Ross?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gotta go with them.
You gotta get a little KC love on this.
Gotta get some KC going. I really don't have many Chiefs across my teams. Travis Kelce's getting drafted in the first. That's not really my style. Mahomes, I was able to snag in one league. Other than that, I've really haven't been going too crazy on him. I think I got Tony somewhere in a league, and then now Ross. So,
man, if you would have told me I could have gotten Gerald Everett in the last round, essentially for me, the way I look at the draft, I might have skipped Kyle Pitts and just taken like Pittman at 6'9", and then maybe
probably still took Mike Evans.
Yeah, I'm like probably still, but just had had an extra, Pittman, Gerald Everett versus Kyle Pitts, Bateman. I don't know. Maybe take a running back there. Anyways, it's all here and there, but Gerald Everett's just, to me, he's the guy. Like if you definitely miss all the tight ends, like just wait till the last round, then take Gerald Everett.
Yeah. So
we loved him last year. He was your boy last year.
That was my guy last year. I was a Gerald Everett truther last year. That was my stream tight end go-to. I think I probably picked him like at least 6 different weeks I was on him. But
I'm going to finish my draft with Rondale Moore here.
Yeah.
In the 15th. The dude's got so much speed. Who knows who's going to throw to him as they cut Colt McCoy, but we'll see about that.
They got some things to figure out, that's for sure.
100%. Well, round 15, 16, I think it's safe to say you and I will both be drafting. I assume it makes us drafting our kicker and our defense here. So I would say one more time for the audio listeners, I'll run down my team before we jump out of here. I've got my only quarterback in Daniel Jones, Tony Pollard, Brian Robinson, Devin A-Chain, and Jalen Warren and Gus Edwards, all at the running back position. Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, DJ Moore, Christian Watson, Mike Evans, Rashad Bateman, Van Jefferson, Rondale Moore. You can't come out of the draft without 7 wide receivers, right? So hopefully I nailed some of those picks there. And then I got Kyle Pitts as my tight end. Dan, tell the audio listeners about your team.
Yes, sir. At quarterback, I've got Justin Herbert. Running back, we're going Javonte Williams, Dalvin Cook, A.J. Dillon, Damian Harris, Jeff Wilson, Evan Hull. At wide receiver, I went 7 as well. Jamar Chase, Chris Olave, DeAndre Hopkins, Quentin Johnston, Nico Collins, Darius Slayton, Justin Ross. And at tight end, I've got Mark Andrews. We will see how kicker and defense pans out. But, man, this has been a fun draft. I've really liked how it's fallen. How do you feel about your team?
I feel great. There's literally rarely going to be a week that I try to start more than 1 or more than 2 running backs. So in a PPR league, I can start up to 4 wide receivers, which is why I drafted 7 of them, which is why I drafted 5 of them before I drafted a second running back. I'm going to hit the wide receivers, going to hit them hard and feel good. I took some shots with some running backs late that may or may not pan out, but that's what the waiver wire is for, man. Now it's just all about managing it here. So looking forward to that as I still end up having to draft. It's not going to make me draft a kicker here.
Oh, you going off base here?
Well, yeah, if it's not going to make me draft a kicker, if it doesn't make me, it's actually not going to, so I'm not going to. I'm going to go ahead and take the backup tight end that we talked about earlier about whether we do it or not, just because I know I can drop him. That's the only reason I take him. And I like Jake Ferguson.
Yeah.
So some apps, ESPN does not allow it. If you're in an ESPN league, you have to draft a kicker in defense.
Yeah, I guess I've never noticed it before where if I could or couldn't. But I am going to take a defense here, actually, at this spot, because I really like their schedule. It's the New Orleans Saints.
Good starting schedule.
Oh yeah, they have the easiest schedule in the NFL.
Oh yeah. Overall. Well, as you kind of roll around your second pick, I'll let everybody know. Come follow me over on Twitter at Trevor S_FF. I'll tweet out a little bit of information from the draft here, maybe throw out Dan and I's teams, get you a little bit of poll action, see which team you guys like the most. But hit me up, interact with us over there. Check us out on our audio feeds on Apple and Spotify. We do try to service your audio listeners a little bit here, giving you our teams and those kind of things as we go through. So thanks for drafting with us. If you're in the league, thanks for hanging out with us. Even if you're not in the league, Dan, this was a whole lot of fun today.
Oh yeah, it is a blast. I mean, this is what you look forward to whenever you get to football season. It's like, when am I going to get my fantasy drafts going? What's that going to look like? And it's been a total blast. This will be my last draft of the season. So really excited to end it with a bang here on ADP. Appreciate you guys listening. You can follow me on Twitter at Dan_TF40. Same tag on IG as well. And give the show a follow at ADP podcast _FF. And of course, our presenter here, Bite Size Sports, at Bite_Size Sports on Twitter. It's been fun, man.
It has been a lot of fun. We'll make sure we talk about it as we go through the season, just kind of give updates and those kind of things. That'll be awesome too, to talk about this. But one last sign off and we'll get out of here.
Absolutely. Next show we'll do starts and sits and all that. It's going to be real.
It's real. It's here, baby. Football time. Let's go.
I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George. I hop in the Porsche, it's 5 and a horse. I'm ready for war. I'm coming for throats to turn to a ghost. I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm